This is our monthly version of Pitchly Pointers, where we share tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your Pitchly accounts. I can't believe it's March already, but I'm kind of happy it is because the sun is shining longer. So today I have Allison Nussbaum. We work in client success together, and we're just going to share some tips and tricks with you today or this month. We're focused on templates. It's kind of a hot topic. We've been receiving a lot of questions and feedback on the feature. And so we thought this would be a perfect topic for us to walk together as a group this month. Before we get started, we will have a quick agenda that we'll go through, and I'll just pop over to my screen and go through that now with you. So we will quickly talk about what is Pitchly. This is more so for anyone who may be new to their organization or maybe new to their team's Pitchly account. We don't spend a lot of time there, so don't worry. And then for templates, we're going to talk about how to create a full page template. Typically, in the past, we've focused on tombstones, but today we're going to talk about those full page documents, how to customize different styles within that document, and then how to add rules to the template, which is a hot question that we get all the time. So this should be exciting for some of the folks on the line. All right, very quickly, what is Pitchly? Pitchly is a solution that allows you to collect data across your organization that's important to you, customize that data in a meaningful way so that you can segment it and find exactly what you need. And then, more importantly, create content such as tombstones, case studies, biographies, proposals, so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, that's what Pitchly is. And without further ado, we're going to jump into a Pitchly account and talk about some templates. So let me stop sharing my screen and jump into that account for you. Okay, so for templates, the first thing you want to do when you're in your main view of your Pitchly account, you want to click on Documents. And from there, we're going to go on the right-hand side to the option to manage templates. And we're going to today work in our case study template. We're not going to build this from scratch because that would take longer than the time that we need. But I think what's most important is that we walk through all of the rules and options that you have available to you. Once you have that skill set, you can take those skills and apply it to any of the templates that you would want to build for your specific team and organization. But you have to understand all of the elements, how they work, and how you can use them so that you can create what's important to you, right? Okay, so how do you get this full page? One of the first things you want to do, because by default, when you go to add a new template, you're going to see a rectangle that's about the size of a tombstone. So how do you change it to a full page document? Well, that's managed over on the page tool. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see an option for page. If you click on that, then you'll see the option for various dimensions. When you click in this dimension dropdown, there are several preloaded layouts that you have available to you to select from. And then you also have the option to insert custom dimensions. So by default, the sizing that you see here is in pixels, but it has the name of the standard letter landscape here. So I'll just show you what you'll see by default. When you come in here, you'll see this little rectangle, but we're doing a letter landscape layout. So when we change that, that's what's going to be viewing. An important note that I'll point out is that any element that you add to your template or your document, you want to make sure that it's actually laying on the canvas. Anything outside of this canvas is not going to appear on your page when you export it. So that's important to note. Make sure everything that you add to your page is actually laid inside and on top of the canvas, okay? All right, so let's get back to our full page document. These options here allow you to change the background color. If you wanted a different color than white, you have the option to do that here. And then this option allows you to add a border and change the color of that border to the entire page. Select the thickness of it, so on and so forth. We're not going to have a border on this example, but that's how you would do it. Okay. Here where it says layers, what this is your layer panel. So everything that's been added to this document and everything that we're going to add today is going to appear in this layer panel. So anytime you click on an element of your document, it activates that element on the document. So you'll see that things are highlighting as I click through this layer panel that represents an active layer on your canvas, okay? So how do you add these elements or these layers? That's going to be controlled on the right-hand side of your screen. Okay, so let's talk about how do you add static text. To add static text, you'll click this option here to insert text. And so this is going to be things that aren't going to change or vary from export to export. It's going to live in all of the templates that you create for this in this case. So your title, these subtitles, these things aren't going to change and vary. So we call that static text. So you just click on the option to insert that text. I'm going to delete this here and show you a quick trick to kind of retain your style. If you click on an existing style that you have and you like, and you don't want to worry about changing the color or the font, you click on that existing element and then you insert your text, it maintains and kind of grabs that, that feature, which is super, super helpful because I don't have to worry about updating the font or anything like that. The cool thing with Pitchly is there's usually more than one way to get to something. So this is one way you insert this text item that you need, but I'm going to delete this. And to delete something, this is another common question we have. You activate the layer or the element and then click delete on your keyboard. Not the backspace, but the delete button. On my PC, that's up under the insert button. So click that and that removes a layer from your canvas. So the second way to insert this text would be to copy an existing layer and then click paste. So I just do Control V. You can also use the the copy and paste in the actual templates panel, but you copy that and then just change the text to what you needed to say. So that's two ways to get about doing that. Now, today we're going to talk about accelerated deal close for this particular template. So type that in and then you're good to go, right? Okay, another thing that you can do is insert text from your database. One of the most powerful options in Pitchly is that you can insert variable text that actually aligns to content in your database, right? So I'm going to click on an element that has the style that I want for my new element. And so I'm going to go down to the text field that has the little red supercharged element next to it, because I guess that has superpowers, as we like to call it here at Pitchly, and search for the value field. Okay, so if you click on deal value, that pulls into your document, and then you can use your mouse to drag and drop that in the position that you need. But like I said, we have more than one way to go about doing things. So I can also just copy and paste that. I like to do this copy and paste because it makes sure, it ensures that I'm in alignment with my other elements, right? If you want to, so by default, your elements will move 3 pixels with your arrow key or with your mouse. But if you hold down the control key and click through your arrow, it'll move it 1 pixel. So it gives you that precision that is very important as you're creating this document. So one thing to note is that, well, I use my copy and paste, so it has the field from this previous line, but I want to change that. So to change that, you'll come over on the right-hand side and you see this sub panel that comes out for your database fields. If you click down, this is another way that you can select and get to the field that you need, right? So I can select the value field from this view. Super powerful and super, super helpful, because I could have copied all of this down with when I started at the name field, when I got this line lined up just so, copied all the rest of it and just used this database field panel to cipher through and get the field that I needed. You can also hide this panel. Sometimes when you're working with the bigger or the larger layouts, this kind of gets in your way. And if you want to tuck it away, just click hide panel and it goes away. So that's helpful as well when you start working with larger documents. But if you need it, just click show and it becomes visible again to you. Another thing that you can do is insert shapes. So this might not seem like a lot of options, but you can actually do a lot with these 3 shapes and get pretty creative. We won't get too fancy today, but we'll just insert a rectangle that aligns with the rectangles that we have here. Okay, so just click insert shape, drag it into the position that you need. Again, of course, we could have copied and pasted the one that we had just above it, but for this example, I'll show you how to just do that. I could actually kind of place this over an existing shape that I have and kind of get my alignment right that way. Again, I'm holding down the control button as I use my mouse to drag and drop this into the position that I need it so that it aligns with my previous shape. And then I'm just going to move it down and pop it into this third position where I need it. So something that I'm going to point out with the layers is that there's actually text behind this shape. So what I want is that my text appears on top of the shape like these previous items do. So what I can do, because like I said, there's multiple ways to go about getting this accomplished. I'll show you the two ways that you can do that. So the first way to do that is come up to this top panel. And these options here are to bring in a layer forward or send it backward. And so I need to send that rectangle shape backward so that the text that's under it shows. And so we see, oh, that added value now appears. Okay, so I saw that my spacing was a little bit off. So I moved that around. And so another way that you can do that, so I'll send this back forward so that added value goes away. Another way to do that is come over to your layering panel. And so I see that my rectangle field is activated. What I could do is simply click on that and drag it down until it's behind added value. And now that pops up. Okay, so you can either use these tools at the top to bring an element forward or backward, or you can just drag them in the layering panel into position. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about how to insert images. So again, you have the option to insert a static image from your device, computer, or shared drive, or you can insert an image that lives in your database. So let's do both of those things. So we're going to insert an image from our database. So on this case study, we're going to add the option to add an accolade. So if this deal or case study had any particular specific accolades that it was recognized for, then we want to show that on this case study. And so you can place that in a position where you want it to be as far as the layout goes. And you see that element is again showing in your layering panel, which is awesome. But let's talk about how to make some rules. So you might say, well, not every deal is going to have an accolade, right? What's going to happen or what's going to be displayed if this particular deal has no accolade itself? Well, if you want to instead display some standard accolades that the firm has, you could do that. So let's talk about setting up rules. To set up a rule, you would click on the option to insert conditional layer. Again, that's in that layering panel. Click insert conditional layer. And let's talk about the logic and how this would work. So what this is saying is by default, what do you want to display? So by default, we want to display the deal accolade if this particular deal won an award. However, if, let's click on that if pencil and say what rule we want to activate. So if that accolade field is blank because this deal didn't win anything, then let's tell it what we want it to do if that condition is met. If it's blank, then display the standard firm accolade. So to do that, we're going to insert an image that actually contains what we want it to display instead. So come over to insert image. And we have a little image stored on our computer that we're going to add, and you just add into the same position that you'd want it to appear if that deal or if this record didn't have any accolades stored to the actual record. And then you drag that image into that conditional layer block. So I drag that down here. And so my condition is set. So what this is saying again is by default to display the deal accolade. However, if this condition is met, then display this image instead. And if you want to see visually what that looks like, then just click on your conditional block. And so then it shows you what that conditional layer would look like once you export it, if that condition is met. Okay, so another quick thing that I want to touch on while we're here is to talk about some of the style options that you have available to you. A lot of these things are things we're used to working with because they're in all documents. So your font, your bolding of the text, so on and so forth, the alignment of your text. But I just want to make sure some of the other questions that we get commonly are addressed here. So these options, the text alignment, it allows you to align things vertically. So you can top align, center align, and that's moving the text to the center of that individual element, right? Or bottom align it, okay? These spacing options allow you to adjust elements to the page, okay? So if, for example, I wanted to center this option vertically, it's going to center it for the entire page. If I wanted to center it vertically, it's going to do it to that entire page. So that's important to note. If you make a mistake, like I just did, just click undo, and then that gets you back to where you want to be. Okay, let me just click undo a couple of times. Okay, another cool thing, if you want to select more than one element at a time, you can do that. Just hold down your control and your shift key at the same time, and then use your mouse to select the options that you want. And that allows you to select more than one layer at a time. Super helpful. So if I wanted to center this bunch to the page, just click center after you select them all, and that occurs. Okay. And then I think we talked about deleting layers as well. So if you have something that you add and you say, oops, I didn't mean to do that, I want to delete it, make sure the element is highlighted and click the delete button, not the backspace button. Okay. All right. So with that, what I want to do is kind of open up the lines to see if anyone has any questions that they can think of regarding templates or anything else that you'd like to discuss. Feel free to unmute yourselves and ask away.
Jamie, I can see that we had one question come in through the Q&A.
Oh,
And
awesome.
it says, is there a way to size an image to an exact size? Example, I know I want a headshot to be 20 pixels square. Can I type 200 I'm sorry, 20 pixels, 200. Oh my goodness, not enough coffee for Allison today. 200 pixels square. Can I type 200 somewhere rather than dragging to sides?
So what I would recommend for that is, Lindsay, can you unmute yourself because I have a question.
I think
If you're
oops, sorry, Jamie. I think you have to unmute the.
Oh, sorry, guys. Ask all to unmute. So if you can unmute yourselves. So if you're trying to do an individual image on a page, what I would do is change the page to that size. So change the custom dimensions of that page to 200 by 200, and then insert the image from the database and just drag it so that it aligns to the entire page. So let me go back out of this one. Let's see what we did there. Create a new one. So we'll just walk through this together really quickly. So if it was 200 by 200 and I wanted to insert an image from my database, I just drag that to the size of my canvas, and then save that. And then what you would do, so there's another step that you want to make sure to do. Once you export it, and this isn't going to show that one, but well, actually, let me just show you how to do that. We're going to update our templates so that it's this test one that we selected. Go over to our documents. and export this. But you see it's a little pixelated, right? And that's because it's aligned, it's auto scaling to the page size that I have selected here. So what I want to do is if I want to export this image, I want to change my format to a PNG image and then change the dimensions here to align with the dimensions I set in my template to 200 by 200. Set that, and then it should export and align to what you need. So let me pull out that image. It'll export in a file, and then so that doesn't look as pixelated and grainy as it did. I hope that answered your question and what you were looking